Well, hey, welcome back. We are going to continue this analysis of a very important panel discussion from the most important conference in Christian history. The MLK conference brought to you by ERLC and the Gospel Coalition. The MLK 50 conference, which is a conference about a heretic. And that's fine. I guess you could have a conference about a heretic. I'm not gonna say you can't. But anyway, I'm going to skip ahead probably about 5 minutes from where we were last. It is just too boring and too serious. So I'm going to skip ahead to the next more spicy topic. I haven't really listened to all this. I listened to about 5 seconds of it, and I thought, oh, this is going to be good. So we'll see where this takes us.
Oftentimes when something happens that's all over social media, all over the news, we really want to have lots of conversation about race in those moments when our emotions are just flaring and all over the place. Dean Branch, give us a little bit of insight about why it's valuable to have conversations about race beyond just those moments when we're more prone to have them.
Mm-hmm. So I've been married 21 years, and I know that...
Amen.
And one of the things I've learned in marriage is that we do not have the conversation that we're most angry about when we're most angry. It's
Amen.
just common sense. It's when...
That's good advice, I think. I mean, I'm not going to say that's not good advice. But if we waited until social justice warriors weren't angry to have this conversation would never happen. Social justice warriors are always angry about something. If there's nothing going on, they will invent something to be angry about. This is a hallmark of social justice warriors. I don't know if these folks, really know about what social justice warriors are all about in the secular culture. I think they do, because they use a lot of the same tactics and they identify a lot of the same imaginary issues. But social justice warriors will seek out things that aren't problems and pretend that they're problems. Like, for example, one of the things I've been looking into recently is how social justice warriors are infiltrating, like tabletop games and like collectible card games. And so social justice warriors have completely taken over Magic the Gathering, completely taken over the company that produces Magic the Gathering. And so they'll say things like, oh, well, Magic the Gathering isn't welcoming towards women because, and what they'll do is exactly what these folks are doing. They'll cite a disparity. They'll say, well, most Magic the Gathering players are men, and therefore it must be that it's not a safe space. You see, they like that word, space. It's not a safe space for women because obviously men and women are exactly the same and they like the same things. And so if there's not enough women playing Magic, then we're doing something wrong. We got to change everything. And so they're changing the artwork. They're changing everything about the game to try to attract women. But the reality is women don't want to play Magic the Gathering in general. Some women do, and my hat's off to you. My wife likes to play Star Wars Destiny with me. Not a lot of women want to do that. And so social justice warriors will always be angry about something. So while this might be good advice, and we'll see what she has to say, you can't really wait until a social justice warrior is not angry because they are always furious. I saw one article about how the flavor pumpkin spice was an example of white privilege. Very angry article as well.
Things are good, when we have ears to hear, when tensions aren't high. Those are the moments to have those conversations about those things that are hard to talk about. And yes, in those moments, we can address things. But to challenge people and to push people in those moments are not necessarily the best ones when people are reacting emotionally or people are grieving. Or
what's so interesting about what she's saying is she just got done saying a few minutes ago how when she was weeping and crying over Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin, her friends were silent and they didn't want to talk to her about this. And now she's saying, well, those are the exact moments you don't want to talk to her about it. So this is white people are in tough situations. I feel bad for white people. I've said this many times on video and in my life in general. I feel bad for white people because no matter what they do, it's wrong. So if you talk to this lady while she's crying, well, don't talk to me while I'm emotional. If you don't talk to her, well, the silence of my friends is gonna stay with me forever. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. You will be called a racist by a social justice warrior. That is their goal. No matter what you do, you will be called a racist. I feel bad for white people. And this lady doesn't know she's doing it. I'm not saying she's doing it on purpose, but she just got done saying that when she's emotional, she wants someone to say something. But now she's saying when she's emotional, she doesn't want to have this conversation. I mean, what's a white man supposed to do, right?
People are afraid. Those are not necessarily the best moments to have those conversations. But when you're in community with people, because we've been married so long, I know when I can speak to him about something in particular. Mm-hmm. When you're in community with people, you can have conversations about things that seem strange or hard or awkward, and it be safe. One of the things we host at our school is coffee talks, where we as women get together and we talk about all kinds of topics, and we say purposely, this is a safe space for ignorance. So what
we should do, honestly, is, well, we can't do this because we're Christians, right? But we should play a drinking game where we can drink if we're Christians, but if we played this game, we would be sauced. Every time they say the word spaces, take a drink. If you did that in this panel discussion, you would be dead at the end of the panel discussion. There's no question about it. So don't do it. Don't do it. Christians can enjoy alcohol, but we can't get drunk, and you would definitely be drunk if you took a drink every time they said the word spaces. I hate that word.
You're not knowing how to address this, you're not being comfortable asking me about my hair or things like that are okay in this space. Mm-hmm. And when you set that up in the moment when the news cycle happens and there's something dramatic, people do feel like they have the ability to approach you. And
I'm laughing. I'm not laughing because of what she's saying, because it's actually pretty decent advice what she's saying. But that thing about the hair, right? I've heard that it's a microaggression if you say to a black woman that you really like her hair. That's a microaggression, because what you're saying is this is like weird hair, you know? So you can't even compliment a black woman on her hair anymore. Otherwise, that's a microaggression. Can you imagine if every compliment was actually really a microaggression in disguise? I mean, some compliments probably are. But in the safe space, you can do it. In the space, you can do it. It's just water.
And they feel like it's safe to talk to you about those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in those moments where there's not a lot of tension going on, great time to talk about it. But Cortland, I know that you guys, you and Sade in your own home, have opened your home up when these instances have happened. Tell us what that has been like. Tell us what you guys have done in those moments and how it just sort of all panned out. Yeah, so last couple summers ago, I think after the Philando Castile shooting, me and my wife.
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't know everything that happened in the Philando Castile situation, but to me, that one felt like it was probably not justified at all, and probably just a scared cop kind of thing. I still don't think it was racist, but because you can't just assume just because the shooter's white and the victim is black that it's automatically racism. It could be that it was an unjustified police shooting and it had nothing to do with race, because there are unjustified police shootings when the victim is white. So yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with race, but I do tend to side with Philando's family on that one.
Just saw that there was so much silence around us, and I started to peep that it wasn't that people didn't have anything to say. They didn't have a space where they felt like they could be safe to say the things they really wanted to say. So we opened up our home in order for us to have those conversations, and what I saw in that was people just, a lot of times we talk about white silence, but I think it often comes from fear of saying the wrong things, that we need to be able to push into our white brothers and sisters and have those conversations amongst yourselves. Don't just wait for us to come around, but also as...
You say white silence? Is that what he said? That's a new one for me. White silence. The thing about that term is that it assumes that there's something to say, right? It assumes that there's some kind of injustice without proving it. So if a white person's not speaking about an unproven injustice, then they're just being white silent. And that's kind of a way to frame the conversation. I would say take a step back. We have to prove this first. We have to prove that the Philando killing was a racially motivated killing. I think you'd have a very hard time proving that. But it could be done if it was. And so let's not pretend like it's impossible to prove that. You could prove that. All you have to do is find the cop's, Klan uniform in the closet. But I don't think there is one. I don't think he was a racist.
As the opportunities come where there's a mixed crowd, that opportunity for us was the chance to really have hard things be said, but there be love and the gospel at the center of it to make sure that at the end of the day that this is one conversation isn't going to be the silver bullet to solve all racial reconciliation issues, that this is a journey. So I think one thing that we saw was that in having those conversations in our home, it provided a platform for further relationships and more conversations to come. So just seeing that your house, your home, and hospitality is a great tool in racial reconciliation conversations, and utilizing that, and I was able to see that even in my own household.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that guy. That's the student. I don't think he's actually a professor or who works for the school. Maybe he does. I don't know. But that guy's the best one on this panel. The student. He has a lot of really good things to say. Now I would imagine I don't agree with him on these issues, but it seems like I could actually talk to that guy.
And so, and I think we often want to.
Maybe that was a microaggression. I don't know. It was a compliment. I meant it as a compliment.
To run to social media when something happens like this. We all want to comment and be that social media sage or prophet, but really, I think you like that, huh? But what I think we should do is really run to those whom we know,
Right.
who we have relationships with, who we can wrap our minds around things with, and so those spaces that Cortland and Sade created, I think, are spaces that we would all do well to create. It wasn't that he was the president of an institution,
Right.
and he then created this massive space for that, which that's good. We should have those spaces, but it was his living room.
Mm-hmm.
It was, a couple of square feet like this, that, people just coming together, drinking up all your coffee late at night, talking. And so I think that's extremely important. And so, someone wants to say it's a little time, but it's okay.
Sounds like he's about to say something really good, so we'll save that for next time. Thank you for joining me. And again, remember, I was joking about that drinking game. Don't do a drinking game like that for this panel, because you will be drunk, and that will be a sin, and I don't want to recommend anyone sin. If you decide to play that drinking game, just take a little sip, and you'll be fine, probably. God bless.